Good morning. My name's Kathi Smith and I'm visiting my parents. I'm at my sister's house. She's in Spain. I'm doing day visits with my parents and helping them with daily life, and I'm painting this morning before I go over there. So I'd like to share a painting. I'm painting Psalm 143:5 today. Now, what I love about the Koi watercolors set is that it's a travel pack and you can put your finger in this little hold it thing, so you can hold it like this if you're doing something where you're balancing it somewhere. I'm too old to balance it somewhere. You open it up and it's got a palette mixing plate. Some people call that dirty. I call that reusable paint. And then it has these wonderful sop up sponges, and it comes with 2 paint brushes that have water reservoirs. This is an old one, and you can actually put this on in these holes to hold it if you'd like to hold it up from underneath, so you can pivot, and then, or if you're use a different hand, you can use it on that side. And if you're using paper, you can put it on here as your place to paint from also. I almost always have a few scraps of dirty paper towels here to sop up messes. I tend to keep some scraps around to be able to sop up when I make a big mistake. For my water well, I use a jam jar from Wilkin & Sons Tiptree. This one I got when I was in England, so it's a great memory. So I tend to use a really simple palette, and I do a lot of the same colors, but it's part of my style. I color in the letters. Just spacing them out. So I always first color in the letters. And if the coverage isn't great, I'll go over it again. Some people use a spray bottle on their watercolors. They just squirt their watercolors. I don't do that. So then I'll go on to the next color for letters. I always do the letters first because the actual verse that I'm painting, Psalm 143:5, I care about the background, but I care also about the message, and I've stayed in the Psalms. I'll do some other verses when people ask me to, but generally I've been painting Psalms for, I think it's been almost 2 years now. I'm what can I say? I'm stuck in the Psalms. Some of my colors are used more than others, so I'm slowly but surely needing to replace some of these colors. And the great thing about this koi set is it's suited me well for the quality and for on-the-go stuff. I use a higher quality when I'm doing bigger paintings, like I've taken a bunch of classes. And I've used Daniel Smith, but Sakura is the maker of this koi water set, and this set of 24 is just perfect for taking on a trip. And I literally fit everything that I'm using today in this big Ziploc bag, and probably a few too many things, because I always have a little bit more in there than I need. And then if I'm on a word and it seems to be a little too dark on the word, I'll take this and blot it, because reading the actual verse is important. And in between the different colors, I'll rinse it off in the little Tiptree rinser. And as I go along, I decide whether I'm gonna cover the whole word or just a letter of it, just depending on what size it is or how much I want to emphasize it. If you're wondering what this is that I drew here, these are stones of remembrance. When the Egyptians chased the Israelites across the Red Sea, the Lord had them bring stones from the middle of the sea and put them on the other side as an altar to him. So this verse, I always like to pray before I decide what to draw picture-wise. And this verse talks about remembering. I remember the days of long ago. I meditate on all your works and consider what your hands have done. And so this is, and I was praying about what to put behind the verse. I put the stones of remembrance, which are from the middle of the Red Sea when he let the Israelites pass, and then a lot of the Egyptians were buried in the water because they didn't have the same pass-through. Another story that reminds me of that is when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in the fire, and they're walking in the fire, and they had an angel, but they were not consumed by the fire. So I like a pretty bright color palette. I'm a very color-oriented person. I don't just see gray clouds, I see purple and blue and gray. When I first took an oil painting class, the teacher came by and said, you need to add more value to your picture. And I turned to the lady next to me, and she was a professional portrait artist, and so I knew she knew a lot more than I did. And I looked at her and I said, well, I think it's about worth 50 cents now. How do I make it $1? And that's about what I knew about values back then. And that was not too long ago. So it's pretty funny that that is my learning curve on values. So now we go to the beach and I say to my husband, do you see all the values in the clouds and the sky and the sunset and the sunrise? And he often tells me what he sees, and it's a good laugh about that hilarious comment years ago when I just wanted to make my picture become worth $1 instead of 50 cents or a quarter. I'm going to work on the sky because the sea is still a little bit wet, and I almost always try to do a dawn or dusk. I don't like boring. I mean, I know God made light blue, so I don't want to necessarily call it boring, but one of my favorite things to do is to watch dawn appear. I call it, in Job, there's a reference to dawn, and it says, who are you? I've got to remember the reference, but anyway, it's in Job, and it's basically saying that the Lord is the one who causes dawn to take its place. So I love to watch dawn take its place and just meditate on God's majesty. In that dawn, it goes from this very dark, purpley colored sky, because honestly, it's not a black sky, it's and as the dawn comes in, there are these pink and orange wisps that start to come across as though the Lord is just taking a paint roller and or taking a shade, like pulling down a shade onto the new sky, and he does it in our backyard. He does it from left to right. It's the coolest. We have a southwest view, so it's just a gorgeous thing to watch. I made my niece Grace has stayed with us a bunch, and I always make her get up and watch dawn with me. She kind of laughs, but she does it, and one day when I'm gone, she'll maybe do it just to remember when we used to do it. But Or maybe she'll just think about it and think, I remember when. And she can sleep in. So Grace, if you're listening to this, you can laugh for your call out on watching dawn with me. My husband and I love to go to the beach and watch sunrise. And then we also have a beautiful sunset off of our back porch, or at the dock. We live on a river, the St. John's River, very, very wide river. We've got a southwest view, so we have to, we get to go down to the water to peek around the corner. Our neighbors just cut down the big tree that actually is what made us need to go to the corner to, so although we love that tree, we've got new neighbors now, and they've, for something having to do with their bulkhead, they had to cut down a tree. So sad to see the tree go, but it's amazing what it's opened up in terms of the view. Okay, so there's either dawn or dusk taking its place with the stones of remembrance, Psalm 143:5, and all I have left is the ground that the waves are crashing against. And when I was thinking about, well, do I want to draw water? I had this download, I think it was from the Lord, saying that if the stones are remembered, if the stones of remembrance are up, they've already crossed, so the water would be back in its banks. So this is the Jordan, well, the Red Sea, not the Jordan River, but the Red Sea, crashing along the banks. Whereas before, the Israelites had just passed into the Promised Land and were free and in the land of promise for them. I hope you enjoyed this painting, and if you want to look at other paintings, you can look at me on Instagram. My Instagram page is Heart Kathi, or you can email me at iamheartkathi, Kathi with an I, Kathi @gmail.com. Or you can go to my author and illustrator page on Facebook, Kathi Snow Smith, and give me a Facebook message, and I'll give you, whoops,